Last week we talked about, we were going through 25 words to generate more listings. And we got through some of them. We didn't get through all of them. So let's get through all of them. Okay, I think we ended up on repetitious boredom. I think repetitious boredom was the last one that we ended up on. So let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, next word I put down here on 25 words to generate more listings, complacency. Complacency. And I wrote down here, complacency is costing you a fortune. Complacency is costing you a fortune. Okay. So what complacency is, as far as generating more listings, complacency is more common in real estate. And here's why. Because as we talk about all the time, you're in an industry that has a very high fail rate. So if you are around most real estate agents and you have a listing, you're doing better than almost all other real estate agents, because most real estate agents don't have a listing. If you have 2 listings, or you're closing a deal a month, think about this. If you close 1 deal a month, okay, that's 12 deals a year. That's 4 times the average. So what happens is we get complacent because we go, 1, I'm crushing it compared to everybody else. So our mind, and everyone falls in trap with this, present company included, our mind says, I'm crushing it. I'm killing it because my competitors and my colleagues and people I know are struggling. So we kind of get the complacency. Or we have a big year or a big month, and we take, as Neil would say, that proverbial sigh of death. I've got some money in the bank, I got a few leads, and we get complacent. And that will kill your future listing business, okay, for a variety of reasons. But complacency is a killer for us generating more listings. So I put down here, be happy with what you have, but don't stay there. Be happy with what you have, but don't stay there. I put down here under complacency, you need new stuff in life to keep it exciting. You need new stuff in life to keep it exciting. Well, what does that mean? Well, I had a boss that used to tell me, if you get complacent, go buy a new car. Add a new payment. Go buy a house. Go buy a new suit. Go buy new clothes. Go do something new that's going to cost money. and that will typically try to drive you out of complacency. Okay. I wrote down here, everybody goes through complacency no matter what profession. It just is what it is. If you follow sports, it happens all the time. That's one of the reasons very rarely do sports teams win back-to-back championships. Okay. Part of it's because, who knows, there could be injuries and things like that. But gosh, you win a championship, all of a sudden you're making commercials, you're partying, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then you got everybody coming to get you. And the next year, you don't quite get it. It happens all the time. The best example I have of that for real estate, there's an award that Century 21 gives out, which is Centurion. When you reach a certain level of production, which is usually between 260 and 280, give or take each year, gross commission, you get what's called Centurion. Everyone who makes Centurion the first time, almost guaranteed, does not make Centurion the next year. Almost guaranteed. Because it's the most money they've ever made, and they get complacent, and the next year their income drops because they stop producing, and then that's when the alarm goes off going, holy crap, I got to get going. And then they start making Centurion year after year. But the first year they make it, almost never make it the second year on a back-to-back. It's wild. Complacency costing you a fortune. So you have to be careful of that to generate more listings. Because here's the problem, and the last note I'll make on complacency, and then we'll move on to the next one. This is why we really push on complacency, is it's called momentum. And what happens is that, let's say you have a lot of business, you're doing really well, you have all this momentum in your direction, you're feeling good, you're living good, you know. I said feeling good, and instantly first thing popped in my head was Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Feeling good, Lewis? You know, whatever. Sometimes
Looking good.
Looking good, Billy Ray. There you go. Now, sometimes you just got to be careful of these tangents. Okay, moving on. But what happens is that you have all this momentum, right? And then when you get complacent, and then all these deals close, or this listing closes, or whatever, and then you lose the momentum, and then it's harder to get back going. So that's one of the big problems with complacency. So complacency is costing you when it comes to generating more listings. Okay, next word I put down is energy. Energy. The amount of energy failing is the same amount of energy succeeding. Redirect your energy for success. The amount of energy failing is the same amount of energy succeeding. Redirect your energy for success. So what that means is that if you take on the task of, I want to generate more listings, you put your energy into getting more listings. But if you're low energy, you don't get the success that you want, but you still exerted the energy to do the activity. You just failed at it. And then when you fail, it sticks with you even longer. So the energy it takes even longer to get rid of that failing. Or if you just have high energy and direct it towards success, you'll be more successful. You're doing the same mindset, the same activities, but in the same amount of energy in terms of just your physical and mental energy. One is redirected for success. Energy sells.
So Robert, when you said you're doing the same activities with low energy and you fail, I don't know. I
It
guess I'm just a
lingers
little bit.
longer. Okay. So what happens is that the amount of energy failing is the same amount of energy succeeding. I decide, all right, I want to generate more listings. And to do that, I'm going to prospect. I'm going to talk to more people. Okay, great. I take the energy to go prospect. I have low energy, but I'm still exerting energy. But I'm failing at it. But the problem with it is that when I fail at it, then it lingers on because I think about my failure. I think about what I didn't do right. I think I didn't do wrong. And that's even more energy towards failing, because now, even after the prospecting session, my energy is still going towards that failed prospecting session. Whereas if I just took high energy from the start, I go in, I'm probably successful. And so when that prospecting session's done, it's done. I don't have to focus on that anymore. I'm no longer thinking about the failure of it. Or a presentation is even worse. Going on a presentation with low energy and low, excitement is just killer. Energy sells. I also wrote down here under energy, energy hides a lot of evils. Energy hides evils, okay? And I've mentioned her, I don't know, a dozen times over the last year. But the greatest example of energy overcoming so many evils is Nora Alvarez in Queens, New York. Again, if you don't know the story, this is a gal from Colombia, been in real estate for 30 years here in Queens, and still to this day doesn't speak, well, she speaks English fine, but she has a heavy accent. 30 years later, heavy accent. And yet, she's made in her career over $10 million. Now, this was a couple years ago, it was 10 million. So she's probably closer to, I don't know, 11 or $12 million in gross commission she's earned in her career. And yet she's still very English second language, heavy accent, but giant smile, ton of energy. And her whole thing is, I just have a ton of energy and I just talk to a bunch of people and I just go, and she sells. So it overcomes the fact that she might not say the script's perfect because she doesn't it's English is her second language and it's a heavy accent. She might not say all those things ideally, but the energy and excitement overcomes that to help her be successful. Okay. Energy hides a lot of evils. I wrote this down on energy. Energy will beat just skills most of the time. Energy will beat just skills most of the time. When you combine the energy and the skills, that's when you become unstoppable. Okay, think of Tony Robbins. Okay, you don't believe me that energy sells? Think about this, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is got to be one of the most energetic people out there, right? Okay, as far as motivational speakers, I mean, this guy is high energy. This guy gets people to walk on hot coals with their bare feet. Do you think they would do that? Now imagine this, right? Tony Robbins, all right, come on, you can do this. Walk across, this is life-changing. This is going to be it. And people go, okay, and they're crying and they're walking across these hot coals. Now imagine if Tony Robbins said, okay, I have an idea. I'm going to lay out all these hot coals. You're going to take your shoes off and just walk across them. Excuse me? Yeah, just take your shoes off and walk across. Nobody's gonna do it. But his energy, you're just like, okay, energy sells even when it makes no sense logically to walk across hot coals with your bare feet. Okay, it just doesn't make it. But that's energy. Okay, that's generating listings. People want to work with people that are energetic. Okay, that are exciting. I wrote down here, we never know what will set us apart, so we should always have energy. We never know what will set us apart, so we should always have energy. So meaning that, let's say you're going on a listing presentation. You don't know what's going to separate you from another agent. Is it, that you're offering a higher price? Is it that you're offering a lower commission? Is it that your marketing plan's better? Is it that you have a pre-listing package or a plan of action, or that you're very professional? We don't know, but the one thing that you can make sure is that you provide energy. It's a huge, huge thing. Okay. Now, this is a key note. I don't want you to be me. Okay. That's a lot of energy. Okay. But that doesn't mean there's a difference. I think some people think, well, energy, I've got to be super ramped up. No. You don't have to be that way to provide energy. And people like that. There are people like that aren't super rah-rah, but you feel that they have good energy. You got to be cognizant of that. Okay, the next word I put down here, very similar to energy, but it's enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. So energy is, okay, I've got a lot of energy. I'm upbeat. Enthusiasm is I'm excited. Okay, I'm excited about the opportunity. Because I can be upbeat, but not excited. I can be upbeat and very angry. I can be upbeat and very negative. And you probably know some people about that. And if you don't, I wouldn't recommend this because I don't, but it's every so often it somehow gets across my vision on accident, is if you want to see someone with a lot of energy but no enthusiasm, is watch politics. High energy, all anger. That's not enthusiasm. Okay. So there's a difference. And energy is upbeat. Enthusiasm is I'm excited. So I wrote down here, they're writing you a check for a lot of money. Shouldn't you be excited? Shouldn't you be excited when they say, here, take this to the bank? That should excite you. This is why when we do the role play and some of you go, will you sign the contract, please? I'm like, come on. Come on. You should have a giant smile when you say sign the contract, please. This is money. Okay. I wrote down here, you have to be enthusiastic about the opportunity. Before you even get to a listing, be enthusiastic about the opportunity to take the listing. Be enthusiastic about getting on the phone and possibly finding a listing. Be enthusiastic about the opportunity that you have.
Do we get enthusiastic just by those thoughts alone, Robert? Or what can we do to get excited if we are naturally not excited?
The best thing you can do is you have to attach the activities to the goals you want to accomplish. So what I mean by that is you'll never be enthusiastic about prospecting. It will just never happen. But if I tie the fact that if I have enthusiastic prospecting, I could potentially find a lead. And then if I have great lead follow-up and still keeping that enthusiasm, that lead could turn into an appointment. And that appointment, if I do everything right on the turn into a listing. And in today's world, if you have a listing, you have a paycheck, gosh, it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. What am I going to do with the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000? So you have to attach the activity to how it relates to your goal in order to get that enthusiasm. Because if you just won't be enthusiastic about prospecting because, oh, okay, I got to make 30 contacts a day. Well, and that's just never going to get it done. I know I have to prospect today, so I'm going to do that. That's never going to get it done. It's all right. I'm prospecting today because my goal is I got to close 5, 6, 10 deal, 20, whatever the amount of deals is a year, which means I have to do these activities. And if I close this many deals, this is what's the outcome's going to be. And this is how the benefit of that. You have to really connect all those dots to get that enthusiasm to do the activities. Otherwise, it'll just never work. So that's the biggest struggle we have. The biggest struggle we have is we don't connect the enthusiasm of the activity to the result. And that's why the enthusiasm goes down. Another word you can do that is, you could say that's also like contactitis, where people are just making contacts because they're supposed to make contacts, but they're not really connecting the contact to anything. And if you do that, you have no enthusiasm when you're making it. You just walk away going, well, I made 30 contacts and there was no enthusiasm behind it. It's also very similar to the Zig Ziglar when he says, how could you hit a target? How can you hit a target you cannot see? How can you hit a target you do not have? So if you don't connect the activity to the goal, you won't be able to hit it and you won't be enthusiastic about it. That's the key to all of it. So you can either do that by reading your goals, writing your goals, reading your business plan, vision boards while you're prospecting of what you're trying to accomplish. Any number of things like that would help. Okay. But I wrote down here under enthusiasm there is a 5-letter word that is the key to prospecting and presenting for your enthusiasm and even your energy. And that 5-letter word is smile. There you go, Miguel. Miguel's got it. Smile. I tell you, you don't have to be super high energy like an expressive like myself, but if you just smile, that energy just radiates. So when you're prospecting, smile. Mike Ferry used to always say, well, he still says, but I just remember this from years ago, they hear your smile over the phone. So smile. For some of you, what I would recommend doing if you're prospecting, have a mirror at your desk. Check, are you smiling when you're calling? Because there's a difference between, hi, my name's Robert. We just listed a property over at 123 Main Street. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, listed for $600,000. I'm curious, who do you know that would like to move into the area? Versus, hi, this is Robert. We just listed a home in your area, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's listed for $600,000. And I'm just curious, who do you know that would like to move into the area? All I did was smile, and I did the same cadence, but the smile forced it to come out a different way. And it came across friendlier and easier to accept. Smile. When you're at a presentation, okay, you can't do a presentation just like this. Okay. There's one of 3 things that will happen tonight. Number 1, you'll have the opportunity to list your home with me, right? I'm smiling, I'm nodding. You want energy and enthusiasm without being an expressive? Smile. You want to generate more listings? Smile. Huge, huge thing. Okay, the next word I put down here is image. Image. Okay. I wrote down here, professionals always work on a professional image. Amateurs think the public should respond to their image. Professionals always work on a professional image. Amateurs think the public should respond to their image. So here's what I mean by that. Well, I'm not really a suit and tie kind of guy, Robert. You know, I'm more of like a sports coat, t-shirt, you know, kind of that kind of guy. That's fine. You could be that kind of guy, but most sellers are not going to be okay with that. Well, that's just not right. That's just not me. That's fine. Be broke. So I'm okay with you being broke. I'm not going to be broke. It's your problem. You know what I mean? So you can't expect that to be the case. Well, you know, yeah, but you know, I don't feel the need to really dress up. You know, it's just not my style. I'm more of kind of a low key kind of person, laid back. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to generate listings at a really high level, likely in that particular manner. You will generate some, but in most cases, you probably won't generate much. And I say this all the time, well, gosh, it's 2021. We shouldn't be judging people. Okay. I want you to know you are on your own on that sentiment. I'm not a heavy judging person, but we're all guilty of doing it. We are all 100% guilty of doing it. Let me tell you something. If I go, now that there's open houses available, and I've done this before, and I guarantee it'll be the same way. If I go to an open house and I see a real estate agent in, you know, jeans and a t-shirt, I will never, ever, ever, ever do a deal with that real estate agent. Even if they brought me the highest offer, I wouldn't do it. No way, no how. I wouldn't do it. That's me. Now you might, but I'm judging that person. So people judge you. Make sure you're displaying a professional image. I wrote down here, they should know that you're here to sell a high-end property, because in their eyes, no matter what the price is, it's a high-end property. You may think, well, gosh, it's a $450,000 property. That's not that big of a deal. To them, are you kidding me? They can't believe their home's worth $450,000. I mean, they're ecstatic. You should give them that same respect. And if you don't, if you want to play the role of, well, that's just not me, okay, fine. And you're just not going to generate a lot of listings. That's fine. Again, fine by me. I mean, it sucks because I make money off of you generating listings. But, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So you have to have a professional image. Now, you don't have to go spend thousands of dollars on an, you know, Armani outfit, or go get some Jimmy Choo shoes, or, you know, yeah, I know some of these things, ladies. I'm aware of some of these things. Jimmy Choo or Louis Vuitton, or, you know, I'm aware of some of these things. Okay. All right. And I know how much they cost. Okay, because some of them are in the closet in the house. All right, so I'm aware of some of these things. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go with an Armani suit that costs a couple grand. If you want to, go nuts. But you can look professional, you know, without going crazy. But that's the difference. This is a true story. A true story. One of our agents, this happened just a couple weeks ago. I forget who it was. Might have been you, Lynn, or it might have been Jack. I know they had one of them. They had similar situations. Anyways, they got the listing, and I just said, you know, they said they were interviewing other agents, and I asked them. I said, so why did they? What was the final decision on why they listed you? They said the other agent showed up in workout clothes and said, oh, I just got done with my workout, but I didn't want to miss the meeting. True story. I didn't want to miss the meeting, but I just got done with my workout. Showed up to do the listing presentation in their workout clothes. The seller didn't even let them do the presentation. Said, actually, no, we're good, thanks. And listed with, I think it was Jack. Listed with Jack. Now, Jack might have gotten the listing anyways because he's a great agent, but he won simply because he showed up in a professional outfit, you know, and you know, Jack dresses nice, but Jack's not, you know, wearing, you know, $2,000 suits. It's just being professional. It's a huge, huge thing. And I'm only spending a couple minutes on it because in our business, man, it's something that a lot of people don't do. And it's just crazy, crazy stuff. All right. The next word I wrote down is communication. Communication. So I wrote down here under communications in terms of generating a lot of listings, communication is not just verbal. When I put down communication for generating more listings, body language, facial expressions, image, approach are all part of communication. So write this down, write down 73855. 73855. They say that effective communication is 7% words. Effective communication is 7% words, 38% tonality, and 55% body language is effective communication. So when I say communication to generate more listings, it's body language. How do you carry yourself? People see that. Okay. Do you carry yourself kind of up, right? Are you kind of one of those like slouching over type of way? When you're in your seat, like you don't have to be sitting up or sitting back, but are you like sitting somewhat proper, or are you kind of slunched over? You know, when you're at a presentation, do you have your arms crossed like this? You know, we've done classes on body language, and I could do another one, but body language is 55% effective communication. If you want to generate more listings, you have to have effective communication, including body language, facial expressions. You know, whenever I write down facial expressions. So we do all of our coaching calls over the phone. Okay. Now that's a Mike Ferry thing. And I asked Mike that years ago. I said, why do we do all of our coaching calls over the phone? You know, like what if we're in the same office, you know, or what if they want to do something this was before Zoom. So this was, you know, Skype, right? What if they want to do something on Skype? And Mike says, we don't do that because of the facial expressions, because there's going to be coaching calls when they say something and you're going to go, and there's going to be things that you say and the agent's going to go like this. And you can't see that over the phone. So, and it's true. But your facial expressions, you can't be at a presentation and roll your eyes, right? Or yawn. You know, go like this. You can't do those things. So you have to be careful of that, right? So facial expression is part of communication. Your image, we talked about your approach, you know, when they see you walking up, like, how are you walking up? Here's what I always think about with approach. It's a true story. My bestest friend in the whole world, when his big thing, when he was dating, he's now married with kids and stuff like that. But when he was dating, one of the most important things about a woman that he dated was how she walked. True story. Now this guy was my roommate when we were in our early 20s. And when I was in my early 20s, I wasn't really concerned about how they walked, but he was, okay. You know, but that was a big thing for him was, well, how does she walk? I don't know how she walks. She's good looking. I don't care how she walked. That was a thing. So your approach, there's people like him still in the world. Okay. Your approach, how you walk. So when I say how you walk, it's, do you walk with confidence? Do you walk like you're walking along, you're walking tall, your shoulders are up, you know, you're kind of walking. You don't have to be walking like this, but you're walking kind of feeling good, you know, things like that. Or are you walking slouched? Are you walking with your head down? Are you walking with like a stern look on your face? That's no good, right? You have to just walk relaxed, confident, shoulders up, good posture, and with just either a smile or just, a casual look on your face, a stress-free look. Your walk, your approach is a big, big thing. So interesting stuff there. But that's part of the communication if you want to generate more listings, okay? I wrote down here under communication, it's a learned skill. Communication is a learned skill. None of us are born great communicators. You may think you are, but you're not. How do I know that? I was convinced I was born a great communicator. I was wrong. How did I know I was wrong? I started recording stuff that I was saying. And it turns out I was not a natural born communicator. Only just because you're an expressive and talk a lot doesn't mean you're a great communicator. So you have to watch that stuff. It's a learned skill. Okay. All right. I wrote down here next, canned presentations. Canned presentations. Canned. C-A-N-N-E-D. Canned presentations. So what a canned presentation is, in a nutshell, is a script. It's a script that you can just go in and follow that with every single person, right? That's a canned presentation. So, if you follow Mike Ferry, it's the Mike Ferry listing presentation, okay? Or the Mike Ferry scripts. That's what it is. That's a canned presentation. It's essentially not winging it, okay? I wrote down here under canned presentations, if you want to control the audience, ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions. And you'll notice almost all the scripts that we have that are, either almost all of them are Mike Ferry oriented. And then there's some that Neil and I write. And then the ones, but no matter what it is, they're all question based. Okay. They're all question based. You have to ask a lot of questions. I wrote down here in the canned presentations, we fight this because we say every seller's different. Every house is different. Every circumstance is different. I want you to write down lie, lie, and lie. Okay. Well, I can't use a canned presentation because every seller is different. Okay. Every house is different, so I can't use a canned presentation. Okay. Every circumstance is different, so I can't use a canned presentation. Okay. 3 lies. Yes, every house is different, but that doesn't mean you can't use the same type of presentation. Every house, you're going to need to show some comps to verify the value. They're going to have to be motivated. They have 3 options. Every seller's different. Well, no, they have 3 options. They're either going to list with you, not list with you, or you're decide not to take the listing, right? There's not like a 4th or 5th option. Okay. They have to get comps. They have to decide if they're going to be in reality or fantasy land. It's the same situation. Whether, even though every seller, yes, may be different, and you might have to work on the personality style, but the canned presentation is the same. Doesn't matter. Okay. I mean, very rarely is your marketing plan going to be different. If you list a $10 million property, okay, maybe you have to add a few different pieces, but marketing plan of action is going to be pretty much the same. So don't convince yourself you can't use a canned presentation because every situation is different. That's just a lie. Okay. I wrote this down under canned presentations. This might not be relevant to you, but this was like the biggest aha for me years ago, because I'll be honest with you. When I first started, I hated scripts, hated them. Why? Because I was convinced the person who wrote the script doesn't talk like I do. They don't talk maybe as fast as I do. They don't use the same lingo. They don't use the same cadence. Makes no sense for me to follow a script with someone that doesn't talk the same way I do. Now imagine me and Mike Ferry, expressive, Mike Ferry driver. Mike Ferry writes a script by a driver. Why would I, as an expressive, follow a driver's written script? Doesn't make any sense. I fought it for years. And then Mike said something to me, which I wrote down here under this. He said, Robert, let me ask you a question. I said, yes, Mike, what is it? How many people are downloading your scripts? That's a good point, Mike. Good point. They're not. Nobody's downloading my scripts. Nobody's downloading the listing presentation script that I come up with, right? Having a canned presentation. And the truth is, I can say, I could do this with any script only because I've done this for a while, but I could certainly do it with any Mike Ferry script or any script that Neil and I do over and over again, is I can take any script and make it sound exactly like I'm the one who wrote it. Only simply comes from practice, and that's the power of a canned presentation. When you get good at a canned presentation, it becomes your script, not Mike's script, not Neil's script. Okay. Okay. So I wrote down here, it is the ability to repeat yourself in a positive way that makes you great. Okay. It's the ability to repeat yourself in a positive way that makes you great. And here's, for those of you that still fight this, here's the question. If you're not at a 70% closing ratio, your scripts are not working. Got to use the canned presentations if you want to generate at a really high level. Okay, next word I put down here is preparation. Preparation. So generating listings about preparation. I wrote down here, be prepared for everything that could come up in a listing presentation. Be prepared for everything that could come up in a listing presentation. They should never catch you off guard. They should never catch you off guard. And here's why. They all ask the same questions. You don't need to know 50 different objection handlers. You're probably only going to get 4. Maybe in your entire career in real estate, you might only get 4 objections. Price, commission, I have a friend or family in the business, I want to think about it. It's really the 4 main objections you probably will ever get your entire career. So instead of knowing all the different ways of handling an objection for, well, gosh, what if they say this? What if they say that? They won't. And if they do, you're smart enough to come up with something. But instead of knowing 50 different objections, know 4 different ways on how to handle commission. Know 4 different ways on how to handle price. Know 4 different ways on how to handle friend or family in the business. That's preparation. They should never catch you off guard with objections or questions. When I put down preparation, do you know everything that's going on in the marketplace? If they say, hey, well, what about that listing down the street and you don't know about it, that's not good. Well, what about that for sale by owner across the street? Oh, wow, I didn't know there was a for sale by owner across the street. That's not good either. Be prepared. Have preparation. This is more important today than ever because the seller has more ability than ever to look up information. I mean, they could stalk Redfin, Zillow. They could stalk all these news outlets. They can find articles all over the place of what's going on in the world. They're prepared. They know an estimate of what their value of their home is. They know what's going on. You have to be overly prepared for your presentations. Okay. So you have to be prepared. Preparation is huge. Spend the extra time to be prepared. Okay. The worst feeling in the world is losing a listing because you just didn't spend the extra 5 to 10 minutes in preparation. Oh, that's a killer. That is a killer. All right. I wrote down here. This is kind of the next word I wrote down is practice. Is practice. This is pretty simple. If you practice more, your presentation becomes better. And if your presentation becomes better, you generate more listings, which is the whole basis of this class is 25 words to generate more listings. So I put down practice. If you practice more, your presentation becomes better. And when your presentation becomes better, you generate more listings. But you just simply have to practice more. Okay. And so here's a question I write down under practice. Think of the greatest athlete you know, if you follow any sort of sports, or greatest dancer you know, or greatest musician you know, or whatever it is, the greatest that you know, and practice as much as you think they practice at your craft. So I'll give you an example, okay? Believe it or not, my favorite band of all time is Rage Against the Machine. I love Rage Against the Machine. That's my favorite band ever, okay? Tom Morello's the guitarist of, well, was the guitarist of Rage Against the Machine. They're not a band anymore. And Tom Morello, who went to Harvard, used to stay up until 3. He would do all of his studies and whatnot, and then he would stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning working on his guitar. And he never stopped at 2:57 or 2:58. He would tell this story. 2:57, he'd finish a riff or whatever. 2:57, all right, let's call it a day. No. He would work on something for at least 3 more minutes, because he didn't stop every day until 3 o'clock in the morning, because he had to do his studies and then work on his guitar stuff. And this guy, I mean, we could go back and forth on music stuff, but he's definitely one of the greatest guitarists ever. But he practiced at that level, going to Harvard, doing his studies, and then practicing until 3 o'clock in the morning. And he never ended a minute early, always went to at least 3 o'clock. So think of somebody like that and practice at the level that you think they practice at. Okay. All right. A few more words here. I put down patience. Patience. If you want to generate a lot of listings, patience. You need to develop patience to become a great listing agent. You will not be a great listing agent overnight. You will not be a great listing agent over the course of a month. And the truth is, you won't be a great listing agent over the course of a year. Mike has said for years that it's a minimum to be a great listing agent, a minimum of an 18-month process. And that's if you're doing everything you're supposed to do. Now, you could generate listings and business along the way, but to be a great listing agent, it's going to take time. Where is she? Is she on here right now? Melinda, are you on here? Oh, you were on here earlier. We take our own people. Melinda. We look at Melinda, has made over $1 million for last year. She's on pace to crush that this year. Melinda, for the first 6 years of her business, was like 75% buyers. And she was doing business. She closed 16 deals her first year, but she was a 75% buyer's agent for her first 6-7 years in the business. And it wasn't until she got to, I think it was her 11th year, where she actually generated more listings than buyers. It takes time. It takes time to be a great listing agent. That's if you're doing everything that you're supposed to do. So you need to have patience. Mike Ferry has said this all the time. You know, he says, oh, overnight success. Well, I've given 10,000 seminars. I've read 10,000 books. I've done 15,000 coaching calls. That was one hell of a night. Right? But I wrote down here, this is how you can increase the speed of becoming a great listing agent. Look at what you've done, review it, figure out how to be better. Look at what you've done, review it, figure out how to be better. But patience, grasshopper. All right, participation. Participation is the next word. Okay, participation. If you want to generate more listings, pretty simple. You have to participate in all the activities that are required to generate more listings. Now, here's the problem we have. The higher the commission, the lower the participation. That's the problem we have in our market. That's why when we interview agents from like somewhere, St. George, Utah, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're doing 150 deals. Well, they have to. They get paid like $3,500 a deal. They have to do 150 deals. Okay. We don't work at that level because we get paid $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a deal. And we're thinking, gosh, all I got to do is close a couple deals. Hell, the national average for income is $42,000. That might just be 2 or 3 deals. In our market, depending on some of our markets, it might be 1.5. So the higher the commission, the lower the participation. This is the key. There's the key on participation. Don't count the money, count the number of deals. That will increase your participation because the money in our market is just too big. So we won't participate because we'll just be making too much money. So have the mindset of the 150 unit producer in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, who's doing 150 deals because they have to. We'll take that mindset and say, gosh, I got to do 150 deals too. Now, if you did 150 deals here, it's a lot of dough. Okay. But just have that same mentality. All right, 4 more, but they go pretty fast and we'll wrap it up. Put down here, hard work. Okay. Hard work, generate more listings. Pretty simple, right? I wrote down under hard work, if it were easy, everybody would be a superstar. It's the truth. It's just the truth. Most people fail at real estate because it's not what they thought it was going to be when they got their license. Everyone thought it would just be easy and fun and glamorous, and it's hard work. Okay? That's why most people aren't superstars. But I wrote down, how hard are you willing to work to make it happen? But sometimes hard work, it's actually honesty. Because we tell ourselves sometimes, and we're all guilty of this, myself included. We tell ourselves sometimes that we're working hard, but maybe we're not. That's why we suggest that time motion study to see what you do every hour. Okay. And again, for me too, because I'm just as guilty. All
Robert,
right.
are you going to do that time motion study with a company? Are you going to, I remember you said something, you're going to do something all together.
Good. I could figure something like that out. Sure. Sure. Okay. And then 3 more here. People. I wrote down people. If you want to generate more listings, I wrote down people. This one's pretty simple. If you don't like people, find another career. That one's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay. Or as I said the other day, if you don't want to talk to people, learn how to write code. Because if you can write code, you could make a fortune and you don't have to talk to anybody. You are in the talk to people business. You want to generate listings, you have to work with people. You have to talk to people. This is what it is. Okay. And then I wrote down money. I wrote under money, you want to generate a lot of listings. I wrote down, understand that money is good and that more money is better. And the way to get money and then more money is to generate more listings. But we have got, for some people, this may sound silly, for some people, we've got to accept the fact that more money is good. And I know some of you might be laughing or thinking in your head going, what the hell is he talking about? I'm telling you, that is a real thing, that more money is better. And if you think that you've reached all your goals by just, oh, I don't need that much money. Okay. I challenge you to make more money and I'll bet you'll find more things to spend it. Ands or buts about it. And if you don't want to spend it on yourself, okay, I'll bet there's a lot of charities that'll take it, including the one called Pay Robert's Mortgage.
Give it to me.
Yeah. Give it to Ollie. We have a charity called Pay Robert's Mortgage. Goes to great sources. Okay. I mean, it'll definitely get used. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, certainly charities that'll take it. All right. The last word I put down here, number 25, words to generate more listings is fun. Fun. I wrote down, at some point, we have to have some fun. That's why when I do these classes, yeah, you know what, I'm pretty harsh and I go directly to the point, but there's always a little laugh in there. There's always a little story. There's something. At some point, we have to have some fun about this. At some point, we have to have some fun. I wrote down here, the fastest way to bring stress down is smile, be excited, and have a sense of humor. And I wrote down here, it could be worse. because so I'll leave you with this, right? I'll leave you with this. So Neil told the story earlier about he had his son Adam change the toilet seat in the office, and Adam came back and was just like, what do you want me to do so I never have to do that again? I actually have a very similar story. And this goes to things could be worse and why we need to have some fun in our business. My dad owns a roofing company, okay? Has for 45 years. So one day I'm 16 years old. I'm in between my sophomore and junior year in high school. It's summer, and he's got a job out in Indio, California. Now, if you've never been to Indio, California, my recommendation is don't. Okay, so there's that. Now, he takes me out to Indio, California. Now, it's summertime, Indio, it's 120. I'm not exaggerating. It was probably 120, 125 degrees, okay? On a roof, doing this labor. I'm sweating, and you have to get up because you have to get there right when you can. So you get up, it's, to drive out to Indio. He lives in Rancho Cucamonga. So it's, an hour and a half drive. So we're getting up, it's still dark outside. We're driving out to Indio. It's ridiculous. On the drive home, true story, drive home, me and him, and he tells me the reason I brought you out here today is to show you that this is not what you want to do for the rest of your life. And figure out how to have a job where you wear a suit, and if at all possible, you can stay inside. And I looked at him and I said, no problem. And that's when I realized that sales of some capacity was going to be my future. Okay. And I worked on to doing that. But the point is, with the fun aspect of it is, yes, this can be extremely frustrating, but I'll tell you what, I would rather dial numbers and get told no than to go drive out to Indio, California again and lay tile on 120 degrees in the summer. Every day of the week. So you need to remind yourself of that there's no reason this can't be fun. You have to have some fun. You have to reward yourself. We talked about this the other day. You have to reward yourself and do things like that. And if you do that, that will create a better mindset, and that will help you generate more listings, because if you don't, it'll lead to burnout. So there you go. All right, so that's the rest of those 25 words to generate more listings covered over the last 2 weeks. I did record this one. I don't know if last week's was recorded. I'm sure it was recorded because I've been recording things, but I just don't know where it is. I'll ask Jesse about it. All right, good stuff. All right, everybody, that's all I got. So thanks for being here. Hopefully there was a couple things in there that were helpful, but other than that, keep rocking, keep rolling. Let's go out there, generate some business. If you need anything for the rest of the day, I'm here. Cindy's here. James is here. Neil's here, although Neil's kind of busy. So let us know. All right. Good job, everybody. Rock and roll.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.